One of the most well-known electric car brands in the world is saying that vested interests, yeah, you know who they are, they're slowing down the uptake of EVs. It's intentional, it's premeditated, and it's, well, extremely deceptive, but it's working. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Guys, I just got sent an email from one of you. It was from a report from so-called scientists. They're claiming now, of course, these scientists are funded by fossil fuel interests, but they're saying these scientists are claiming that if we decrease emissions from cars in cities, it will speed up global warming enormously. Now, they're saying that because NOx emissions, or the bad emissions from diesel exhaust, apparently they are able to suppress methane, and essentially, if we stop driving diesel and gasoline-powered cars, then global warming will kill us all very, very quickly. That's seriously what the report's claiming. And this is the kind of stuff the media are now publishing. They're trying anything. Polestar are right. Swedish battery EV, or Swedish EV brand Polestar, says that this is a very intentional smear campaign. And, well, in my mind, there's absolutely no doubt this is happening right now. We're seeing many reports. For example, Tesla graveyards of Tesla vehicles are in all over Australia. They're all over America. Oh, honestly, we're looking at people like Inside EVs reporting this as though it's facts, as though it's true. They can't be bothered actually doing any research to see if it is. But yeah, no, this is true. Tesla graveyards are everywhere. And then all of a sudden we see Tesla sales reports saying, oh, Tesla sales haven't just tanked through the toilet. They're actually pretty similar to what they were last year. Within 2% of their sales of last year. And suddenly, Tesla's inventory is very small because they manufactured, 411,000 cars? They sold 444,000. They sold a lot more than they manufactured. So these graveyards are a media concoction, as is much of the false information being spread about EVs. Now, unfortunately, a lot of this stuff's being spread by so-called pro-EV sites. Anyhow, the vested interests of internal combustion engine focused car makers and associated businesses and oil companies, as well as geopolitical issues, are sowing doubts about EVs and slowing consumer uptake of them as well. There was a recent report, guys, last week. What did it say? It said that your first EV as a company will be your last. There's fears across the industry that if you make an EV, it's going to be your last. In other words, it's going to be a waste of billions of dollars. It might bankrupt you if you make an EV. Polestar's head of sustainability, Frederica Claren, claims a more collaborative approach and more transparency or honesty about EVs, including the true climate credentials of their makers, will accelerate global EV sales. Speaking to car sales recently at the Sino-Swedish EV brand's Gothenburg's headquarters in Sweden, Claren, he said that misinformation is confusing consumers and slowing the transition to EVs. And there's no doubt that many companies are making all these false claims about EVs. What do we hear? Americans, most of them who own EVs, can't wait to go back to internal combustion. Yeah. Here's the thing. If Tesla's loyalty rate is at 80%, how can that even be true? Statistically, is it even correct? It can't be possible, right? The majority of vehicle EVs in America are Teslas. That means most of Tesla owners want to go back to gasoline. Now, I'm pretty sure that that's false. Anyhow, Polestar said this: I think that people have vested interests they are really trying to protect. We want to really change that through bringing in data that can show consumers in black and white the status of EVs. Now, Polestar is owned by Geely, parent company Geely. Geely is the fastest growing car company in the world this year, close behind BYD, but Geely's number one. And their EV brands are doing really well. Well, Polestar's not, but Zeekr is smashing it. Zeekr are the fastest growing EV brand this year. And EV sales are most certainly growing. China just sold 960,000 cars were sold last month in China alone. EVs and plug-in hybrid EVs, 960,000. That's a new record. China's never hit that number before. This year, China is probably going to sell around 11 million. That is not any kind of slowdown that I'm seeing. Polestar is one of the few auto brands that publishes life cycle assessments on the carbon footprint of its vehicles. The company is proud of this, and thanks to materials and production improvements, they say that their largest vehicle, the Polestar 3, has a lower life cycle carbon emission than the smaller and less powerful Polestar 2. They said, we want to be one of the players who are very clear and inspiring towards consumers. Telling them that, hey, let's forget about the weird narrative now around if EVs are better from a climate perspective than ICE cars. They are. Show that data, but let's start focusing on charging with renewable energy and getting the automotive production related emissions down. Polestar's boss, sustainability boss, says that growing negative sentiment around buying EVs from the media in particular is affecting macro issues. I saw a recent study showing that people choose more eco-friendly or climate-friendly options if they feel a sense of hope for the future. If they're more pessimistic about the future, they tend to stick with what they have and they don't make any changes. But hope for the future is a fresh commodity. It can switch from one year to another on a consumer level, and I do think that this is where what we're seeing now, the effects of the wars going on in the world, the geopolitical tension, the economic crisis. I do think the consumers are pessimistic rather than hopeful about technology and about the future. Now, I don't know if that's true. I'm not sure I agree with that. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Polestar asserts that EVs have the potential to be impactful in terms of climate change. And not only that, in terms of your ability to have control over what you do. You don't have to rely on fossil fuel companies at all. In theory, you can have make your own energy with solar. You can charge your car. You can basically power the majority of your house as well. The train has already left the building, says Polestar. So for me, it's very clear that if you want to be a player that really will benefit from this transition, you inspire it. You catapult it forward. You stay on top of it. And I'm really worried about a lot of the actors now in the auto industry. Are they going to make it? How are they going to be succeeding in the long run with all of their vested interests in old legacy technology? And that's the key, isn't it? Vested interests, billions of dollars invested in ancient old school legacy automotive industry. I'm on the climate clock, so I'm constantly trying to find ways to speed things up because as an industry, we're not on the climate crisis time schedule right now. We have an impactful climate solution, but we're not deploying it quickly enough. So I really want consumers and industry players to understand how quickly things can change. Look at markets like Norway and what they have done to be able to make such an impactful change in just 5 years. It's true. I mean, nearly 90% of all vehicles sold in Norway currently are fully electric. Basically, she's saying that automotive companies, brands, they are intentionally confusing customers. They're intentionally kind of steering them away from buying an EV. Our industry's interests are vested in keeping the internal combustion engine and those brands, assets, and those basically everything's been invested into that and really drip feeding consumers with sustainable choices rather than flooding them with them. I want consumers to know there is a better solution that they should jump on. At the same time, we have to talk about the challenge of making this a truly sustainable product, and that is what we are doing at Polestar. Now, credit to Polestar for focusing on that. Polestar obviously need to focus on selling more of their cars too, and possibly that could be to do with it's a new brand and the prices are fairly high. The truth is, guys, EV sales are up. They've increased this year versus last year. The media don't want you to know that. There's no one reporting that information, I don't think, other than maybe me and a couple of other people. But that's the reality. And that will continue. Even with the misinformation campaigns, even with all this garbage being spread around by the media, even with all this stuff, all this nonsense about people wanting to, most people buying an EV and then regretting their decision, all these lies are not preventing the EV revolution from going ahead. It's slowing it down though. I don't think there's any question about that. Guys, what are your thoughts? What can we do to kind of prevent this? I mean, I'm not sure what else we can do. I think here on the channel, I do focus on that a little bit, maybe too much. What do you guys think? Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.